The formation of the global atmosphere. In modern times, the Earth's atmosphere is comprised of 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen, a small amount of carbon dioxide, and trace amounts of several other elements. To reach this state, the atmosphere has undergone several transformations in its long history. In the beginning, the planet had no atmosphere, but, as the Earth began cooling, large amounts of gases were vented from the interior, primarily through volcanic activity. This marked the start of the planet's first atmosphere. During this stage, the atmosphere contained mostly water vapor, methane, carbon dioxide, and nitrogen, a mixture which could never be safely breathed by virtually all life forms on the planet today. As the Earth cooled even more, the water vapor in the atmosphere fell from the sky as rain and began collecting on the surface roughly 3 billion years ago. It was in this water that the first forms of life appeared in the form of cyanobacteria, which is more commonly called blue-green algae. These algae fed off the huge amounts of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere and, through the process of photosynthesis, emitted oxygen back into the atmosphere. Over the next 300 million years, the level of oxygen in the atmosphere rose in small amounts, and attained a level sufficient enough to begin combining with iron and rocks to oxidize and to produce rust. Through the study of such rocks, geologists have been able to pinpoint the early rise of the level of oxygen in the atmosphere. In fact, rocks absorbed so much of the oxygen produced at that time that the creation of an oxygen-rich atmosphere was forestalled. It was approximately 750 million years ago that an oxygen boom began on the planet. A tipping point of sorts was reached, so the oxygen level started outpacing the carbon dioxide level by climbing to around a fifth of what it currently is. This was a significant enough change that life forms depending on carbon dioxide started dying out, while those favoring oxygen started thriving. At that time, all life was in the oceans since it could not survive on land on account of the high levels of ultraviolet radiation produced by the sun. However, with the increase in the oxygen level of the atmosphere, some oxygen molecules hit by the sun's energy began splitting into single oxygen atoms. These single atoms then formed with airborne oxygen molecules, which have 2 atoms, to form ozone, which has 3 oxygen atoms. This process gradually formed the ozone layer, which protects life on the planet from high doses of ultraviolet radiation. Once the ozone layer was established, the world's life forms, most of which were oxygen-breathing, gradually emerged from the oceans and migrated onto the land. A balance between the carbon dioxide-breathing plants and oxygen-breathing animals slowly asserted itself. At the same time, carbon dioxide was being absorbed not only by plants, but also by the oceans and rock formations, in processes that continue to this day. As a result, the level of carbon dioxide declined to less than 1% of the atmosphere while the amount of oxygen rose. The end result of this entire process, which took billions of years, is the current state of the atmosphere. Trace, tiny, minuscule. Photosynthesis, the process through which plants use the sun's energy to convert water and carbon dioxide into oxygen and sugar that they use for nourishment.